Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's main event.
Okay, I wanted to kind of do a walkthrough of this Rube Goldberg machine, talk about some of the ideas that I had while I was building it, and even some of the kind of difficulties I had and things I had to kind of take care of during that process. So we'll just kind of start off at the beginning and kind of go from there. So in the beginning, you're supposed to activate the speaker basically so you can talk to whoever's on the inside. And I wanted to give special thanks to Denise. Um, a lot of people know her as Phoenix. She did the voice for me, and she did a great job when she recorded the voice. She left enough room in between that I could easily, put my voice in there, and it was just kind of I listened to her recording, and then when I recorded mine, I just kind of made sure that I kind of timed it about right so I could get it put in there, and it worked out quite well. So um, there's no button or anything like that to press; it's just all simulated. So ding dong, and then she would reply and tell me to make a basket and bring her a toy. So the interesting thing is making the basket. So for those of you that don't know, if you just pick up something and then just use the button to that you use to pick it up on PC, it's E. You just press E again, you drop it. However, if you use the button that for me it's R, that it's also the scrap button and that kind of stuff. If you use R, that gets you to throw the item. So oh, that actually worked. So I didn't make the basket, but it's very difficult to make the basket. So, and here we go. We see the ball roll down and hit the bear. So that's going to start everything off. Now, unfortunately, I didn't really want everything to get going here, but here we go. We have the rocket come down, and it hits this here, and that sets off the next item, which is opens this door to get the gunner to come out. Now the gunner comes out, and he will stay in there until he sees me. And I didn't want him to get shot right away. I needed him to come out, um, which works out well. And I'm not going to bother picking that up because I'm going to use this safe. But he comes out and hits this laser tripwire. And the laser tripwire is what is actually going to activate the next machine, which is this one over here. So let me reset this, and we'll go to the next phase, and I'll talk about that as well. So here we go. Okay, so for the next phase, phase 2, we have this trackball. So when the basket is made down there, this switch opens up and it releases the ball, and the ball rolls down the track, and it comes down here and it rolls off and hits the bear. Now this bear took me quite a bit of time to figure out. I tested it several times to get it to see how it was going to fall. I wanted something, a lot of times on Rube Goldberg machine, you see the one item fall and, knock something else over or what have you and start the next item. Well, it's hard to really just knock something over and get the next item to go. In Fallout, what we have to have is another switch that triggers the next thing to go. So the bear falls off, it hits this switch, and then that switch is going to start this pitching machine. Now I use the moot fruit. I could get the most consistent throw with the moot fruit, and the moot fruit hits the target. So let's see this in action. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to put in a pressure plate up there to trip the switch, so I don't have to do it up there, so we can watch the ball leave there and we can get a shot from down here. Okay, so here we are at the top. And what I've done is I've just put this switch in line here. So when I throw this switch, it will lift this gate, releasing the ball, and we can watch that part go watch it as it goes. So the gate opens up and the ball falls down. Now we can watch this ball kind of fall down, and it'll just come down here, knock the bear over, and boom, right onto this pressure switch. And there we go. There's our moot fruit hits this trigger, and it actually starts this one here with this rocket. So let's follow the rocket on its path. So here we go. Okay, so over there we can see the ball coming down. It's going to hit the bear. It's going to fire off the moot fruit. It's going to hit the trigger, and then we're going to have this toy rocket go down the conveyor belt, and it's going to hit that trigger there, and that's going to open up our gunner open. Now once that gunner walks out, he's going to stay in there until he sees me. But once he walks out, that's going to trip that those balls over there. So I've got those balls pre-staged, and that'll go to the next phase. So let's see if we can't get this gunner to come out, and then if I can get him to come out, then I'll run over and we can watch those balls. Alright, let's see if we can get an eye on those balls. I know the turrets will take care of that gunner, no problem. Okay, so the balls come out, and I've rigged up a couple of arms to kind of help them assist the balls, because if they don't, then the balls a lot of times will not make it through. So see if we get a ball come through here, and there we go. We have a couple that's coming down, and these balls will fall all the way down here. Now we're going to run down here. Now I put in a safeguard because this switch turns the next item on, which is this conveyor belt, but I didn't want more than one ball to come down here and hit the switch and turn it back off. So I put this arm in place to protect that switch. So both this arm triggers to protect the switch, as you can see, it stopped the other ball, and it also starts this conveyor belt, which starts this entire big long conveyor belt. Now unfortunately it's a long, slow process for this ball to come down this conveyor belt, and for entertainment purposes I added some fireworks in the process as the ball moves down. Now one thing with using these steel balls on conveyor belts is they go really slow in comparison, because the ball tries to roll backwards as the conveyor belt goes. So the physics of the ball still works, so that makes it rather interesting. And if I could have used a nighttime, if I had a mortar that would go nighttime, I would have used it instead of the rad storm and then the rainstorm. But I didn't have that, so I just decided, okay, we'll just do that because I wanted to be able to see the fireworks as they go off, right? So we get to see the fireworks and enjoy those, and then the ball will roll down here. Now this one's rather simple. The ball's going to roll down here, and it's going to go down through this, come down, and it's just going to simply hit this trigger here. Now once that trigger gets hit, that's going to trigger this next arm, and we'll come up top so we can see it. Might as well put away with my weapon. So it's going to trigger this arm, which is going to push this ball. So this ball is going to get pushed, and the ball is going to roll down here, hopefully go in here. Now there's sometimes it doesn't want to quite go in there, and I put the guards around so it doesn't fall off, but the ball will come down here. It's going to fall through here, run down this track. Now this switch will turn on, it'll turn on this counter here, and these delay switches. Okay, and these delay switches, as you can see here, these delay switches delay when these arms trigger. And these arms are set to trigger, so gives the ball enough time to roll down through. and then we start it back on its merry way. Now this will trips and it knocks this arm, which sets off the dominoes, and these dominoes then start the paintballs. Now these paintballs are not completely accurate, as you can see. I've got several paintballs going here, and they're not always hitting their targets. So sometimes what we have to do is be prepared to start the next one. So um, we've got quite a few going. Now this one over there should eventually shoot this one, which will start off the next one. It looks like we've got a couple of these going here. And the final one is there. Once it gets hit, as you can see, the final one there got hit, and it starts this ball rolling. So I wanted to kind of put some things in place to help kind of guide this ball in, because it's kind of doesn't always want to hit it. There we go, we got it hit. This starts this pitching machine to throw this ball. This ball then hits this laser switch, which starts the timer. There's a timer over here. Starts the timer for this arm to trip, and then pushes the ball down here. Now, this works out. This ball hits this, and it starts the next one. And let's reset so we can see this next one go. Okay, so from here we can see that ball is well on its way, and it's going to work its way right over to that pressure switch. That pressure switch will start this ball here, boom, down this path. And I had to put these guards in place because the ball wanted to roll clear up on top. Now, in my normal video, you notice I had to pick the ball up and put it back on to the pressure plate, which is really funny because during all of my tests I never had a problem with it. That pressure plate trips this switch to release the ball from here and go down onto this conveyor belt, which takes it up to the top of this ball track. And as we can see there, the ball rolls down through the ball track. And just for some entertainment purposes, I found that if the ball is carrying enough speed, it can actually go up and down, up and then maybe crest a hill and go back down. So I thought that was rather interesting. Final thing that it does, it hits this ball track switch here. This will start the music. So the music starts. All the while, here comes my toy. And here is the toy that I can give to Curie, and it opens up the door. So let's examine what happens when that switch goes off. Let's go back so we can follow that entire action there. So let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the machine here so we can get this one to roll. And while we're doing that, I'm going to go inside so we can see the mechanics of what's going on in there. So let's use this ball here, and we'll start this machine here to go. Alright, now let's get inside. Okay, so here we are inside, and we have a delay switch and another delay switch. So these delay switches are going to actually delay the door from opening, right? So while the delay switch is going on, once that switch outside gets tripped, the delay switch is going, but this builder starts right away. Okay, so this builder will start right away, and it's actually going to create a Django's the Moon Monkey. So there we go. You can see this starts. You can hear the music out there. And for those of you that don't know, that's the music from the 2001 Space Odyssey theme. There goes our Django's the Moon Monkey. And the idea is that the door opens, it's delayed, so the door opens about the same time that the Django's the Moon Monkey comes out of the conveyor belt. So Um, let's have a look and see if we get that timing right. All right, let's see if we get the timing correct on this. So, what we're going to do is I'm just going to use this ball to release and let it come and hit this switch, and that should trigger the last event, which is the last event is to get the music to play, the builder to build us a Jangles, the Moon Monkey, and then the door to open up. Again, the idea is the music will start playing right away, the builder will start playing right away, but the door is on a delay to match when the Jangles, the Moon Monkey comes out. So let's see if we can get this ball to roll down here with enough speed to trip this switch. Let's see if this goes. And let's just see how well the timing is set up for this. Okay, here we go. And just hopefully it carries through. Builder's going. And let's have a look. Let's watch to see. It should be about the same time when the Jangles comes out and hits the ground that the door is opening up. It's pretty close. Basically, if I'm standing over here, about the time I see the Jangles, the door is opening up. So that is how how everything is designed to work. It's not terribly difficult. It's just a matter of obviously how complex you want to try to make it, how many bells and whistles, so to speak, that you want to have, and just some things that you kind of have to do to put in some safeguards. So you know, there's little things that you can do that still makes things interesting. Obviously, you don't need to put this many, you know, targets and paintball guns in place and that type of thing. The funny thing is, getting these in place to actually get them to hit the items was really simple. I mean, it was just a matter of I put the target in place, and then I just grabbed this and I stood behind it and went, "Yep, that looks about good. Let's see if it hits it." And then I just would go through and test it, and after a handful of shots or something, it would hit what I wanted it to, and it actually worked out quite well. So the idea being that this one starts and it goes, it's going to zigzag back and forth. So bing, 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 back and forth, back and forth. This one actually coming clear back across, whereas, and then that one comes clear down here to the final one to trip it. So, yeah, so one of the things that you have to keep in mind is you want power on all of your switches. You want power to be there. You don't want necessarily want, well, you don't want like the power from this one to turn on the power over there, because something may happen to cause the power from this one to go off. So you always want live power at any of your switches. Okay, so each switch itself is powered in individually. It's just you have to have something to trip it to have it turn on. So these switches can be buried, obviously, and those types of things. So there's a lot. It's not as complicated as you might think. A lot of it's just using your imagination. You know, um, what can you do to try to get things to line up and land the way you want? Like these dominoes, all they are is sacks of cement, with the final one being a bag of fertilizer. And the only reason why it's a bag of fertilizer is I didn't have any more cement. So now the bag of fertilizer is actually pretty difficult to knock over. So, but luckily it's enough just to tip it over to the edge and hit that pressure plate. And it would have been nice to make this a tad bit longer, but you know, I gave it a little bit of an interesting thing where it kind of snakes around a little bit and that kind of thing. So I found that to be kind of fun and that kind of stuff. So also as another thing, to work out kind of safeguards, I want to talk about um, you know something like these conveyors, particularly when you're talking about with using these steel balls or any kind of round object that you're going to have on these conveyors. So as you can see, I've got these arms on here, and they help push the balls along. But what I wanted was, I wanted, like, when the first ball comes across, it hits this laser wire, and the laser wire starts these arms from for going. So I have a interval switch, and then I have a delayed on switch. So the interval switch comes on, it turns on the delayed on switch after a certain amount of time, and well, actually, the delayed on switch, what it does, it it you set the time duration on uh, how long it takes for it to turn on. So the interval switch comes on, it stays on for, let's say, 2 seconds. The delayed on switch is on, waits a second before it comes on. That allows the ball enough time to kind of progress through. The arm swings through, and it starts the arm going. Okay, so with the interval, basically these arms will continue to swing back and forth, right? So they're just going to cycle on and off. So when the power's on, they swing, power's off, they close. So it causes the arms to swing back and forth, and it allows them to continue motion. However, when the second ball comes through, it will hit the laser tripwire, and that shuts everything off. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a bit of a pain. But it'll shut everything off, and that when it shuts it off, it's in whatever position it's in. So they could be swung out, which, as you can imagine, would could cause the balls to get stuck and what have you. So, as a result, what I did to kind of help ensure success, I put in an odd number of balls. So I put in five just to kind of increase my odds of success. um, I learned pretty quick that one shot was not going to get it done. So, the timing could get off, where the if the ball kind of got somewhat hung up or got knocked off, even when that arm swung through, it could possibly knock the ball off the conveyor belt. But it could also come over here, and if the timing gets wrong, because the balls don't travel in the same, you know, at the same speed every time, the ball could come through here, and it could end up behind these arms as they're swinging out and back and forth. So the arm could actually pull the ball off of the track. So, which obviously would be unfortunate. But so with multiple balls, an odd number of balls, to ensure that the final ball goes through and it actually trips the arms again to get them going, it helps increase the chances of this the balls to cycle through here. So um, yeah, so things like that, you have to kind of put these as you can see, I kind of stuck that up there. It's a bit crooked. I just pillar glitched it in place. But things like this helps ensure that your machine will work the way that you want it to. So sometimes that can be more complex than what you actually wanted to do to but it all depends on how complex you want the machine to be. Now, because of the fact that I put these two um, right angled turns on these conveyor belts, that obviously increased the difficulty. If it was just a straight shot, had I just lined this up over here, been a straight shot instead of over there and then turning to come up here, then I wouldn't have had this problem. But um, just to kind of add some interest to it, um, you know, uh, that's why I did it. Now, um, also the conveyor belts add time that it takes for your machine to work, particularly when you're using the balls. As you notice, the toy rocket ship, it travels rather fast down through here, but those balls, they don't. So let's go ahead and we'll start this, and I'm gonna run up top, and we're gonna watch those balls go again. So, all right, so those balls are going. All right, and my laser turrets worked fine. There we go. So we saw that one ball come through. It started the arms. Um, one ball went through, got knocked back, and we're going to have a ball come through here. So the first ball actually made it through all the way, and we had one that got knocked backwards. There's our first ball. Now this one's actually pretty fortunate. We're going to have multiple come through here. Looks like 4 of the 5 are actually going to make it through here. So that's actually pretty interesting. So we'll just kind of follow this ball down as it goes down through here. So I put these guards in place to kind of make sure that it always hits there. Now sometimes it will be right on target as it comes down through, and sometimes it kisses off of one of those. But yeah, so the nice thing is these arms will go through anything, so that works out well too. It lets it glitch over everything. But hopefully that was helpful for everyone, and hopefully you all appreciated it, and you know, it maybe encouraged you all to build one of your own. You know, it's not as difficult as you might think. A lot just really depends on how complex you want each machine to be. So thank you for watching, everybody, and again, I encourage everyone to at least give it a shot. You know, just try out a few things and see what you can make happen. It's very rewarding once you get one interaction to start another interaction, and you know, it really becomes rather fun. So again, thanks everybody. Have a good one. Bye.
I have just created something totally illogical.
Boy, that knock to the head must have been harder than I thought, because I'm seeing crazy things that I don't even understand.
Let me just close this conversation by saying you are one unique individual.